Pokemon Fire Red. I'm not a big fan of this game. On top of the usual,
Kanto is overused. I'm tired of it.
the game is too easy and the pacing in this game is awful in my opinion, second only to the Gen 2 games on the Poo-Poo Dookie scale. Despite this, it's still a timeless classic and a great introduction to the series for anyone looking to get into Pokemon, and I decided to hardcore Nuzlocke it live. Now, I'm assuming that if you clicked on this video, or let's be honest, any Pokemon-related video since essentially COVID, you probably know what a hardcore Nuzlocke entails, but just in case you don't, I'll run through the rules real quick for you. You're only allowed one Pokemon per area, and it has to be the first Pokemon you encounter in that area, or receive in the case of gift Pokemon like your starter. If a Pokemon faints, it doesn't. It actually dies. You can't use it anymore. Put its lifeless corpse into the PC to collect dust for the rest of the run. You can't use any healing items like potions in battle, but held items like berries or the Quick Claw, for example, are okay. And you have to play the game on set mode, meaning you don't get to switch a Pokemon in for free whenever you defeat one of your opponents. Additionally, you have to nickname all of the Pokemon you catch so that you get more attached to them for when they inevitably do die to circumstances outside of your control, or even worse, circumstances that you can control and just didn't because you weren't paying attention. Usually, I don't play with this rule since it's widely regarded as optional, and I'm one of the least creative people on the planet when it comes to naming things. But recently, I've picked it up again, and it's been a lot of fun. But this game is still far too easy, even as a hardcore Nuzlocke, so I imposed an additional challenge. If my live chat on either TikTok or Twitch met certain goals, I'd have to spin a wheel to effect the run. This wheel has everything from adding levels to the cap, to killing one of our Pokemon at random, to just straight up resetting the game. But yeah, I'm a pretty small channel, so I usually don't have that many people, if any, in my chat to meet these goals. So in addition, I imposed the rule of spinning the wheel after earning every gym badge, just so the wheel didn't sit forgotten for the entirety of the run. Before we get into it, I'd like to encourage you to hit the subscribe button. It makes a funny number go up, which makes my smile a little bit bigger. And while you're at it, check out my other socials down below. I do a run like this every once in a while on stream, so if you're interested in making me spin the wheel, check out my Twitch or TikTok to catch me live. Now that all that's out of the way, let's get into the actual run. I named myself Focus, obviously, and then it's on to our first major decision of the run, what to name our rival. Now, there are the classics, of course, Blue after his canon name, Gary after the anime, Buttfart if you're a comedic genius, but those have been done to death. So I thought to myself, who would I consider to be my biggest rival, my biggest opponent in life? Obviously, especially given the circumstances, the choice was clear. Okay, on to the first actual major decision of the run, our starter. And two of them stand out above the rest. Charmander's the most popular choice, I'd say, and for good reason. Fire types are pretty uncommon, and so having one at the start of your run is never a bad thing. It's weaker in the early game, but the early game of Fire Red is such a cakewalk that this is almost never a problem, and Zard makes the late game a good bit easier in return. Bulbasaur, on the other hand, is an incredible choice for the early game. It solos the first two gyms with ease, dealing super effective damage to both, and walls Lieutenant Surge if you don't like using Diglett like a normal person. Venusaur falls off in the late game without some help. It's never really bad, but its level up learn set is in this game, at least offensively, and so a TM or two certainly doesn't hurt it. Squirtle, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, if you're picking Squirtle in this game, it's either because you're new or you picked him when you were new and now he's one of your favorites. Now, that's not to say that Squirtle is a bad choice by any means, but the problem with Squirtle is that you get so many good water types in this game that picking Squirtle is essentially just going to make either your starter or a good handful of your encounters completely worthless. For this run, I decided Bulbasaur was the play. Obviously, an experienced player such as myself would have no trouble. Alright, I think it's optimal to use Growl, but I don't really care. The optimal strat is actually always just to pray for the crit, so that's what we're gonna do. Don't tell me we're gonna lose our first fight of the run. I will actually crash out live on stream. Bro, just use Tail Whip! Oh my god, we just lost. I'm not resetting though, because literally all that would happen was we would just have to go through all the tutorial BS again. That would be like the only... And I guess technically we would get a different Bulbasaur with different IVs and different nature, but I don't care. Okay, well, we got our bad luck out of the way early, so it'll be smooth sailing from here on out. Now that the run has actually started, it's time to start collecting our encounters. On Route 1, we catch a Rattata and name it Tomatillo. This particular Rattata is a great addition to the team because it has the Guts ability. If a Pokemon has Guts, anytime it's afflicted by a status condition, its attack is raised by 50%. You can abuse this by poisoning your Pokemon in a battle with a wild Pokemon that knows Poison Sting, of which there are an abundance in Kanto. Kanto? and then healing it with potions outside of battle so that the poison remains, thus granting yourself a 50% bonus to damage in exchange for a bit of HP every turn in battle. This is an incredibly broken strat that we will utilize 0 times in this run. Why? I don't really know, in all honesty. On Route 22, we catch Radish the Spearow, and on Route 2, we catch Broccoli the Pidgey. Or at least we would've, if I hadn't forgotten to buy more Pokeballs. Oh well. Spearow's the better bird in these games anyway. On our way to Viridian Forest, I beat up chat and spend way too much time with actual chat talking about vegetables and cooking. I'm not a fan of sweet dressings, like raspberry vinaigrette. Bro, why is that so popular? I think celery fits well in just generic, chicken soup or beef stew type things. Radishes ain't bad though. Yeah, no, you're just wrong. I'm sorry. I don't know if this is gonna make sense, but what a radish tastes like is what spicy water would taste like if there's such a thing. Radishes taste like nothing, but with a kick. Once we get to the forest, we catch Jalapeno the Weedle, who we shortly evolve into Beedrill. Before the first gym, I level everyone up, which brings us to the final rule of a hardcore Nuzlocke that I didn't mention. Your Pokemon cannot exceed the highest level of the next gym leader, in this case being level 14 for Brock. I hack in rare candies to level up my Pokemon, and you should too, especially if you're a streamer. Playing with level caps means we can't abuse rare candies to just instantly level Onion to level 100 and decimate the rest of the game, but doing so means neither I nor my chat have to sit through hours upon hours of wading through the tall grass and committing war crime level acts of genocide against the local rodent and small bird population. This is also great for encouraging team diversity, since especially towards the later parts of the game, grinding up new team members takes about 12 seconds as opposed to 6 hours. Furthermore, in runs with EVs, like all of the vanilla games, hacking in rare candies actually makes your run marginally more difficult, since your team won't be getting the stat boosts that you'd normally get for knocking out wild Pokemon. Anyway, we leveled to Brock's cap, and with Onion by our side, he's a complete pushover. Both of his Pokemon are immediately one-tapped by quad-effective grass-type moves. First badge is ours, and you know what that means. Alright, this is badge 1, so this is a wheel spin. If I get Revive or Random Mon, I'm gonna crash out. And we get nothing. Huge. Awesome. Love to see it. Love to see it. Well, that was underwhelming. Moving on Route 3, we catch Eggplant the Nidoran, and on Route 4, we buy Garlic the Magikarp off of the Goober in the Poke Center. You know, this guy acts like he's scamming you, which I guess with the abundance of Magikarps in Kanto, he kinda is, but on the other hand, 500 Poké Dollars for an eventual Gyarados is steal of the century. We evolve Onion into Ivysaur and Eggplant into Nidorino and venture forth. In Mount Moon, we catch Celery the Zubat, and after beating up some dudes in weird costumes and this one nerd who really likes rocks, we take the almighty emblem of our Lord Helix. After exiting the cave and making our way to Cerulean, we evolve Radish into Fearow, Garlic into Gyarados, and Tomatillo into Raticate, who then carries us in our third battle with chat, not letting anyone else in our party take a knockout. The second gym is functionally a copy and paste of the first. Neither of Misty's Pokemon can do anything to Onion, and so he's free to win us the battle with no difficulty. On to our second wheel spin. Lock in! Oh god, no. Oh wait, that's fine. Actually, there's literally only Golbat in the PC. Revive Random Mon, and none of our Mons have died. So that's effectively the same thing as rolling nothing. Huge. Yeah, exciting stuff, huh? After beating Misty, we completely stomp all of the Nugget Bridge trainers, and then on Route 23, I catch Honeysuckle the Oddish. I guess we just have backup Venusaur then for if Venusaur dies. And on Route 25, we actually have balls to catch Broccoli the Pidgey. After getting through some more trainers, we meet the world's greatest Clefairy cosplayer and help him return to his human form, after which he gives us our SSN ticket. Side note, they just completely gloss over the absolutely world-rending technology that is the machine Bill has built that turns him into a Pokemon. I don't know if that's supposed to be done for comedic effect or if it's just genuinely not supposed to be that big of a deal, but I digress. On Route 5, we catch Artichoke the Meowth, our resident HM friend, for a good majority of the run. On Route 11, we catch Zucchini the Ekans, and in Diglett Cave, shockingly, we catch Turnip the Diglett. In Vermilion, we talk to some old dude about his Rapidash that he cuddles and get a voucher for a bike that we use literally one time this entire run. Collecting useful things only to not ever use them will be a trend. We hop on the SSN and loot it in its entirety, and then once again absolutely destroy chat. Chat runs away, tail between his legs, and we enter the captain's office, where he asks us to rub his back in exchange for a cut HM because he's seasick. Only the boat has been in port for as long as I can remember, so seasick? Yeah, I'm not buying it. Plus, couldn't you have gotten one of your crew to rub your back instead of some random 10-year-old that just wanders into your office? This dude's worse than Typhlosion. After narrowly avoiding ending up on the side of a milk carton, I make my way to the third gym with its stupid, dumb, idiot, stinky, trash can puzzle RNG fest. Why does every single iteration of this video game keep this awful puzzle? It sucks. I don't like it. No one does. Anyway, we get a little bit lucky on Surge. Diglett blows his first 2 mons to the moon and back, pause, but Raichu sets up a handful of double teams, so I end up switching to Onion just to not have to sack Turnip. Although in retrospect, I don't really know why, since I didn't use Turnip for the entire rest of the game. But anyway, we collect our 3rd gym badge and get to spin the almighty wheel yet again. We did just successfully knock out a gym, so wheel spin action. What do we got? +1 to next level cap? That's actually really good, isn't it? Doesn't that get us to 30? Okay, so we finally got something good, but it's also against Erica, so like, did we really? Whatever, I'm not complaining. After collecting our badge, I decide that our best course of action is to go collect Flash from the scientist on Route 2 to make it easier to get through Rock Tunnel. This is really stupid for 2 main reasons. One, I could just as easily go to Google and search up a map of Rock Tunnel to get through it instead. And 2, I just had a gym battle against an electric-type gym leader. I'm not carrying any flying types on my team, and I don't realize why this is stupid until disaster strikes. You see, to get Flash, you have to go all the way through Diglett Cave. Diglett Cave has a very small chance to spawn Dugtrios instead of Diglets, which are absolute monsters. They spawn at levels in the high 20s and low 30s and can have the ability Arena Trap, which prevents you from switching or from clicking the run button unless the Pokemon you have in isn't grounded. Now, like I said, the chance that Dugtrio even spawns is small. So small, in fact, that with the help of some repels, I made it through the entirety of the cave without running into a single one. So I collect Flash after Oak's aid evaluates my dex, and then I have to go all the way back through the cave. Again. This is where RNG is less in my favor, and I encounter my first Dugtrio. Fortunately, I'm lucky enough to be able to get out of this fight by sacking Meowth, and then succeeding the runaway check with Gloom. Can't say the run is deathless anymore, but I'd rather it not be deathless than be over. But I wasn't out of the woods yet. Or cave. You know what I mean. Perhaps as vengeance for all the clowning on this game that I had been doing, the game decided to play the cruelest of jokes on me. 1 tile before being able to leave Diglett Cave. Tragedy. A second Dugtrio has hit the run. Let me walk you through this absolute assfest of an encounter. First off, I had Onion as my lead since I figured he had the best chance at fending off a Dugtrio, but why I had Onion as my lead when I also had Honeysuckle in the back is beyond me. I test my luck and see if fate is willing to have the Dugtrio and I part ways. No such luck. Ironically, the Dugtrio we encountered didn't have Arena Trap, so I could have fled, I just failed the check. Dugtrio then hits me with a Sand Tomb, so now I'm trapped anyway. Oh, and guess what? The Sand Tomb crits. This might not look relevant right now, but bear with me. I then get hit with a Mud Slap, which lowers my accuracy. Beautiful. I fire off a Laser Reef? Really? I fire off a Razor Leaf, and it manages to actually hit, doing about 50% of Dugtrio's HP. Another Sand Tomb. Onion still has a good amount of HP left. All we gotta do is fire off another Razor Leaf, and it misses. Perfect. But wait, did you catch that? That last Sand Tomb did 10 HP worth of damage. Onion is at 11 HP. I realize this is my out. If Onion fires off a Razor Leaf, Dugtrio dies and Onion won't take the Sand Tomb passive damage because the battle will be over. I seize the opportunity and... Wait. No. You cannot be serious. Really? Really? Just bend me over, man. Another crit? And with that, we have our second death of the run. Onion sadly perishes. I attempt to run again before switching. No use. I figured Tomatillo is probably the fastest thing on my team and send him out, and fortunately we're not immediately sand-tombed and we make our escape. But come on. And the worst part, I couldn't even clip farm that horrendous RNG because Twitch muted my stream. I don't know why or how this happened. The VOD isn't muted. I was streaming on TikTok and multiple chatters over there said the audio was completely fine, but Twitch just decided that my RNG wasn't bad enough. Talk about pouring salt in an open wound. And yes, all of this was avoidable if I would have just been carrying garlic or even broccoli, but damn, the game waved so many outs in front of my face just to snatch them all away anyway. Post-Diglet Cave catastrophe, we make our way back to Cerulean and start heading east to conquer Rock Tunnel. We don't get an encounter on Route 9 since we've caught every potential encounter that we could have had. Another optional, but usually included, rule of Nuzlocke is the dupes clause. If you encounter a Pokemon in an evolution line that you've already caught, you have to skip it. This might seem detrimental in this particular circumstance, but keep in mind that you can abuse this to your advantage. If there's a really rare Pokemon on a particular route, but you've already caught everything else on that route, you're guaranteed the rare Pokemon with the dupes clause. Overall, it just adds a lot more variety to your encounters and also ensures that every vanilla game can't just be mopped up by a team of 6 generically powerful Pokemon like Gyarados. On Route 10, we catch Cayenne the Voltorb, and then we head into Rock Tunnel. And in my infinite wisdom, I decide I don't want to teach Flash to any of my Pokemon, so I Google a map of Rock Tunnel and we go in blind. So getting Flash, and by association, killing Onion, was a complete waste. I genuinely don't have a single clue what I was thinking here, but oh well. In Rock Tunnel, I catch Beesprout the Geodude and pretty easily blow through all the trainers throughout. Once again, pause. Honeysuckle, whom I thought was going to be virtually worthless before losing Onion, is doing a pretty damn good job at replacing him, so I'm handling the loss pretty well. Side note, however, the level up learn sets in this game are absolutely atrocious. Despite actually preferring Vileplume over Venusaur, Gloom has one glaring problem for this point in the game. Gloom's best grass-type offensive move until Badge 7, where you won't be using it anyway, is Absorb. Absorb! Until level 44, where it gets Petal Dance, which is almost as bad since it trades a higher damage output for locking itself into using it for at least 2 turns, something you especially don't want to do in a Nuzlocke. We exit Rock Tunnel and get to Lavender Town, but with nothing to do here yet, we head west towards the next gym badge. I skip an encounter on Route 8, since the only encounter here that isn't a dupe is also the only encounter on Route 7 that isn't a dupe, and Route 7 doesn't require the use of Cut to get this encounter. There, we catch Carrot the Growlithe, aka the sole reason why you shouldn't pick Charizard as your starter. Arcanine is available early, gets access to Flamethrower as soon as you hit Celadon City, which is literally right next door, and gets late game utility with Extreme Speed. Furthermore, both of Growlithe's abilities it can have are pretty good. Flash Fire gives Growlithe immunity to fire moves and powers up its fire moves when it's hit by one. The worst of the two abilities by far, but a free immunity is still never a bad thing. This is what Carrot ends up having. The other ability Growlithe can have is debatably the best ability in Pokemon, Intimidate. Whenever a Pokemon with Intimidate enters the battlefield, all opponents immediately get a drop to their attack. Especially when coupled with such an already good Pokemon, this ability can snowball into being broken very easily, and is a big contributor to why Gyarados is so good, with Gyarados being guaranteed to have Intimidate upon evolving. When we get to Celadon City, I decide it's a good time to drop everything and go gambling. Well, okay, not really. You see, the casino in Celadon City has access to some incredible prizes in exchange for the coins, including TMs for powerful moves like Flamethrower and Ice Beam, and certain Pokemon that you can just buy, one of which we pick up, Hawking the Admiral. Okay, the name was suggested by a chatter. Okay, I thought it was funny. Don't cancel me for that, please. Normally, you have to gamble for the casino coins at slot machines, which we did because it was fun. Chat, I'm gonna gamble real quick just for good luck. Max bets. I'm not the GOAT. I am the GOAT! I'm so good at video games. This is just like when I went gambling IRL. I have no idea what's happening here. It's just telling me that I'm winning, stuff is lighting up, and I'm going... Except when I went gambling IRL, I didn't win anything, so it was just, like, stupid. But you can also just buy the coins with Pokédollars. At this point in the game, we have access to the Thief TM, a move that lets you steal items off of your opponents. And so the same way I cheat in rare candies to not have to grind levels, I allow myself to sell those rare candies after teaching Thief to Zucchini in the box for an infinite source of income. Because again, I could just go to Route 5 and farm nuggets for 10 hours straight to achieve the same result, but I don't want to do that, and more importantly, I have to imagine the vast majority of you guys don't want to watch me do that. So after I buy an obscene amount of coins, we end up buying a Flamethrower TM for Carrot and one each of Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, and Thunderbolt for Eggplant, who we've since evolved into Nidoking and who will be fulfilling the role of Jack of all trades on our team for the time being. Is he really useful at all beyond this point? Not particularly. Is it still hilarious that our Nidoking is essentially an elemental master? Yes it is. We evolve Carrot into an Arcanine with a Firestone we bought from Celadon Mall right before we take on Erica, and we continue what I have retrospectively called the Kanto Gym Leader effect. One Pokemon is all it takes to one-tap Erica's team, especially with the raised level cap from the wheel spin. She doesn't really stand a chance against Carrot. Erica is a complete and total breeze, and we're rewarded with the incredibly valuable Giga Drain TM, a move that is more powerful than every other move in Honeysuckle's arsenal and also heals a portion of the damage dealt with it. You don't even have to ask what I do with such a valuable item. That's right, I immediately forget that it exists and never use it. Time for another wheel spin. Lock in wheel spin, because we won
A gym battle.
No, thank you. +1 encounters next route, so we'll just go route 12 or whatever route is west of us, which I don't think that helps. Actually, what's just the route below Erica on the Nuzlocke tracker? Next route after Erica on the Nuzlocke tracker is Saffron City. So I guess we just get 2 Saffron City encounters then? That actually works really well for us. Okay, the wheel's finally starting to warm up to us. Awesome. After Erica, the game opens up quite a bit and kind of allows you to do your own thing, so I switch up the team and evolve Cayenne into Electrode and Hawking into Kadabra, and we venture forth. I decide to go to Lavender Town, where we absolutely decimate chat yet again without even having to lift a finger, but I neglect to remember that we need the Sylph Scope to progress any further, so we have to backtrack to the Team Rocket hideout in the casino. After doing some goofy puzzles and fighting way too many, and I mean way too many Team Rocket grunts, we make our way to the big man himself, Giovanni. Only, I think they expect you to fight him before you fight Erica, so he was kind of a huge pushover here. Even the Kangaskhan, which is usually a little bit scary, was absolutely no match for Carrot, the good boy that he is. Sylph Scope in hand, we go all the way back to Pokemon Tower, where we catch Cabbage the Ghastly and beat up even more Team Rocket grunts, along with a ghostly Marowak, who, despite being able to come back and battle us from the afterlife, literally can't do anything to our Gyarados. I'm not even using hyperbole. I think this thing only knows ground moves because it didn't do a single point of damage to Garlic. Some old guy named Mr. Fuji is grateful that we performed an exorcism on the Spectral Marowak and gives us a Poke Flute, which we can use to wake up sleeping Pokemon. Obviously, since this is a hardcore Nuzlocke, we can't use this in battle, but that's not at all to say that it's worthless. This instrument can be used to wake up the absolute eepiest of Pokemon, Snorlax, which is exactly what we do with it when we travel yet again back to Celadon. Snorlax is yet another free encounter that ends up playing an incredible role, especially against one Pokemon in particular, but we're getting to that. We also end up catching it in one ball. This has no significance to the run whatsoever. I just thought it was neat. Welcome to the team, Parsnip. Snorlax is the first of many mid-game encounters that we'll be scooping up. On Route 17, we finally use our bike, since you have to on the cycling road. Our only eligible encounter is a Doduo, and after catching it, our only eligible encounter on Route 18 is a Lickitung, which isn't really a good Pokemon at all, but he's a silly little guy, so I'm glad I'll be able to add him to the team. Everything else on this route is a dupe. Huge. I'm just gonna... I accidentally just ran. Well, I didn't want to switch to Gloom because I didn't want Gloom to die, but I just accidentally ran from that. Okay. On Route 18, we catch Asparagus the Doduo and then head to Fuchsia City where we pick up the Good Rod. Since we have the Good Rod, I decide to fly back to Lavender and head south so we can pick up the Super Rod so that we can backtrack and grab a bunch of Water-type encounters that we weren't able to before. In Viridian City, we fish up Gord the Poliwag. On Route 6, we fish up P the Psyduck, and in Vermilion City, we fish up Pumpkin the Shelder. Heading east of Fuchsia, on Route 15, we catch Arugula the Venonat. On Route 14, we catch Shallot the Ditto. On Route 13, we fish up Turnip the Horsey, and then we head back to Saffron to knock out some more of the main story. Before we do anything at Silphco, we make our way through the dojo and grab Potato the Hitmonlee. Once that's done, I evolve Hawking into Alakazam and Honeysuckle into Vileplume, and then I fight the fewest number of trainers possible to get my way through Silphco. Seriously, people always whine about the radio tower in Heart Gold Soul Silver, and, rightfully so. But if you don't Google a map of Silphco, it can be just as bad or even worse, I would argue. With our fully evolved team, we take on Chat, who also just happens to be at Sylph, but isn't really doing anything about the Team Rocket invasion. There's a conspiracy there, if you ask me. And he is yet again a complete waste of time. Doesn't even get close to beating us. Switch to Garlic. Get the Intim so that wing attacks don't do as much damage. Eat a flamethrower. This probably does like no damage. Okay, it crits us. Don't burn me. Wow, that's cool. Okay, maybe he gets a little close to beating us, but Carrot clutched it up for us, so I'd say even that would be a stretch. As a reward for literally single-handedly ridding this gigantic corporate building of a disorganized crime infestation, this guy gives us yet another free and incredible encounter, Squash the Lapras, which, again, we get to keep because of the wheel spin allowing 2 Saffron encounters. We take on Giovanni once more, and this time he's slightly more of a challenge. Emphasis on slightly. This is also where we start to see that being able to evolve Hawking into Alakazam gave us access to what is essentially our most powerful team member at this point in the game. Normally, you'd be stuck with a Kadabra at this point in the run, since to evolve Kadabra, you'd have to trade it. However, there's a cute little button in the Universal Pokemon Randomizer that disables impossible evolutions, like trade evolutions, and gives them an alternative way to evolve them. For Alakazam and other similar trade evolutions like Gengar and Machamp, it's to level them up to level 37. I did it just to increase the usability of encounters like Ghastly and Geodude, who are normally borderline worthless when you can't evolve them through their final form, but I neglected to realize how utterly broken the Zam is at certain points. Hawking is truly a force to be reckoned with. Except not really here. He actually would have been killed in his first major battle if this Nidoqueen decided to crit its Body Slam, but I guess after the Dugtrio debacle, the game figured I'd put up with enough bad RNG. Thank you, game. Hawking cleans up the Nidoqueen and the rest of the battle is underwhelming, to say the least. After Giovanni takes his leave, the company's owner takes the opportunity to flex his money on us for literally no reason, rich people am I right, and then gives us a Master Ball. After saving what is presumably a multi-million-dollar corporation from a full-on invasion of criminals as a 10-year-old, cannot stress this plot point enough, we fly back to Pewter City to collect the old amber from this scientist, and then something interesting happens. We get our first chat-redeemed wheel spins of the run. Yeah, we're a little over halfway through the game, and we got our first chat redemptions of the wheel. You're probably starting to see why I instated the once after every gym badge rule. Otherwise, this would just be a normal hardcore Nuzlocke of a vanilla game. God forbid you can't somehow further clickbait the hardcore Nuzlocke in the year 2024. But anyway, shout out to KO and Tyler in my chat, who sent a combined total of 7 wheel spins in a span of about 3 minutes. Holy hell, let's get into it. Okay, we got 4 here. Lock in. Oh god. Appreciate the gifty. Alright, so that's 5. That's 7. God, I keep forgetting. Okay, so we have a -1 to our next level cap. Alright, so we have 6 more. Appreciate the gifty, Kane. Thank you. 6 more. Another Heracross situation, maybe? Dude, the Heracross was so funny. Okay, 5 more. We have 1 extra encounter. Let's see if that cancels itself out. -1 to the next level cap. I'm gonna be over-leveled. My entire team is at... This is bad. I could actually just screw myself out of having this team for either gym. Okay, 4 more left. No? Okay. +1. Okay. I like that. I like that. 3 more. Okay. Back to 41. Okay. 2 more. Just don't give me like... No. No. Chat, we might have to do the gyms before we get the Surf HM. I'm gonna be real. We might have to do the gyms before we get the Surf HM. Watch me roll it again and just my entire team is over-leveled now. If my entire team is over-leveled, then I'm... No. No. No! Okay, I'm fine with that. PC purge would be catastrophic. Overall, with 7 spins, not as bad as it could have been. Rest in peace, Pumpkin. Gone, but completely forgotten. Our extra encounter chosen by chat was for Route 4, so before doing any gym prep, we headed there and caught Beetroot the Mankey. But now we have a slight problem to deal with. I leveled all of our major team members to level 40 in order to be on par with chat at Silphco. Under normal circumstances, this is completely fine, since the level cap for both Koga and Sabrina is level 43. Yes, they both have the same cap. Fire Red is a weird game for this, and I will die on that hill. But now, both of their caps are level 40. Okay, well, actually, the 40 cap should only apply to whoever I battle first, but since this game has been a complete breeze so far, I decided to spice things up and say that the cap for both will be 40. Kind of like adding buffalo sauce to a glass of milk, I know, but I'm grasping at straws for making this game difficult, and I'll take what I can get. The issue is that I have to be extremely careful about how I take down these gyms, as if any crucial team members overlevel in one gym, I won't be able to put them on my team for the next gym leader. I decide battling Sabrina first is the correct play, as with an Alakazam as her ace, she is by a wide margin the bigger threat. So now I start thinking about counterplay. Koga I don't foresee as being a big deal at all, especially with Hawking being on the team, but Sabrina is another story entirely. We don't have all that many direct counters to her Calm Mind spamming team, and if her Zam gets off even one Calm Mind, that could very easily kill the entire run. My initial thought for a Sabrina counter is Cabbage. Gengar is an extremely powerful glass cannon that has a type advantage against the psychic types Sabrina will be using. Now, Gengar will be a crucial part of beating Sabrina, but for two very large reasons, he will need support. First off, going in under-leveled means that Alakazam outspeeds Gengar, which we could obviously remedy by EV training Gengar in speed, but again, trying to make the game, a bit more challenging, so I'm not doing that. Additionally, despite the type advantage, Gengar wouldn't even kill Alakazam with a Shadow Ball if it outsped in the first place because Ghost-type moves in Gen 3 are physical instead of special, which essentially means that Gengar kinda hits like a wet noodle with Shadow Ball as opposed to Gen 4 and later when it hits like a Ford Taurus. After scouring my box for answers, Parsnip is the obvious Sabrina counter. Snorlax served essentially the sole purpose in our run of being the Alakazam assassin, if you will. Its HP and special defense stats are monstrous and allow it to survive multiple hits from Alakazam even after Calm Mind boosts. And Snorlax can also learn Shadow Ball, which, again, since it's physical in Gen 3, does hit like a Ford Taurus, especially when considering Alakazam's defense stat pretty much makes it the physically resilient equivalent to a popsicle stick. These two together will provide the perfect answer to Sabrina. Sabrina's two Pokemon outside of the Alakazam line are not scary at all. Mr. Mime is easily handled by Gengar, and Venomoth is, well, Venomoth. However, we lead Gengar in this battle for the sole purpose of countering Sabrina's lead Kadabra, which knows the move Reflect. Reflect halves the amount of physical damage that Sabrina's entire team would take for 5 turns, which wouldn't be all that bad for our strategy, but we want to keep Alakazam as defenseless as possible, as with one lucky crit here or there, this fight can easily go from essentially free to a full-on wipe for us. Fortunately, Gengar outspeeds this Kadabra and one-shots it with Shadow Ball, even despite the poor attack stat, so that handles that. Without the Reflect boost that it was hoping to gain from Kadabra, Alakazam actually goes down in one hit from Parsnip's Shadow Ball, so a fight that I was actually really worried about going into it was pretty much just as easy as all of the other fights before it. Koga, in vast contrast, is not nearly as much of a challenge as I was worried Sabrina would be. Unlike Sabrina's gym, where you can skip literally every single trainer up until Sabrina, we do actually have to fight some optionals here. But that being said, we literally only need Alakazam to not overlevel for Koga, so we just use a combination of Garlic and Carrot to overwhelm all of the gym trainers, and that works perfectly. Once we actually get to Koga, it's such an easy fight it's almost not even worth talking about. We lead Hawking and click the A button for every single one of his mons, with the exception of Muck, where we have to click the A button twice. Muck actually could have been really annoying here if it spammed Minimize and we were unlucky, but in its infinite wisdom, with its dying breath, it decided to use Acid Armor against a special attacker that it was slower than. The glories of vanilla game AI. Badge 6 was secured, and with it came another wheel spin. You might be wondering, where was the wheel spin for Sabrina? To which I would say, I forgore. But I'm gonna use the power of Copium and say that since I tackled these two gyms at the same cap, I think it's only fair we do both the spins at once after Koga. 2 spins, because I just won 2 badges, so lock in for that. If I get reset here, I'm smashing my entire setup. No. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Revive random, that's literally just like, that doesn't really matter unless we revive Venusaur. And even then we have Vileplume, so like Venusaur coming back would be kind of cool, but like, we don't really care. And -1 next level cap, okay. So our next cap for Blaine is level 46, which it's Blaine, so we could probably literally keep it at level 40 and be fine, but I'll take level 46. That's completely fine. 1 through 3, we'll do it in the order that they died. So Ivysaur, or no, Meowth is number 1, Ivysaur is number 2, Shelter's number 3. We roll 2. Okay, so Ivysaur does come back. You know what? That's kind of iconic. And with that, Onion, who was so unfairly wrenched from our grasp, is given new life, and with it, a new opportunity to prove himself a part of the team. We box Honeysuckle, thank her for her hard work, and carry on. To progress further on in the game, we have to stay in Fuchsia and head to the Safari Zone to pick up a couple more crucial HMs like Strength and Surf. Also, just side note, removing HMs is one of the best thing Pokemon ever did. I don't know what they were thinking, having there be moves that you can't progress through the game without. From a flavor perspective, I guess it makes sense and is like kinda cool, but that is completely foreshadowed by the frustration that is having to teach good team members bad moves, or having to remove a good team member for a bad team member that knows all the bad moves. Anyway, since we haven't gotten a Safari Zone encounter, I decide to do that now alongside collecting the items we need to progress. Since the Safari Zone is supposed to be a fun little gimmicky place that is centered around catching Pokemon, I choose to bend the first encounter rule for the Safari Zone since I think it's more fun that way. The first time, and only the first time I enter the Safari Zone, I'm allowed to catch as many Pokemon as I want across as many areas of the Safari Zone that I want, with the caveat being, once I'm kicked out, I can only keep one of the Pokemon that I caught, and I have to release any others that I might have gotten my hands on. The two best encounters from the Safari Zone that we have access to are Dratini and Dragonair, and Chansey. Dratini isn't good at all until it evolves into Dragonite, and it doesn't evolve into Dragonite until I've collected all 6 badges anyway, so 6 badges, that's a typo. Until I've collected all 8 badges, so Dratini is essentially only Elite 4 material. Chansey is a lot more versatile and provides a Pokemon that can tank essentially any special move thrown at it, with the caveat that most physical moves will kill it instantly. Both are pretty niche encounters, all things considered, but I decided Chansey is more usable than a Dratini. However, Chansey's encounter rate is extremely small, and so the optimal play is to catch a Dratini anyway. In the Safari Zone, you'll be kicked out after taking a certain amount of steps, so Dratini being a fishing encounter essentially makes it a guaranteed encounter no matter what, since you never have to take a single step to fish. We catch Arugula the Dratini. Yes, I'm aware that it's the second Arugula that we have, but in my defense, can you blame me for forgetting about Venonat? And then we hunt for a Chansey, but don't even see one, much less catch one, so going for the Dratini was indeed the correct play. After finding all the other items in the Safari Zone, it's time to finally start taking on the late game. We head south of Fuchsia and fish up some... I can speak English. We head south of Fuchsia and fish up Slaw the Krabby on Route 19. Is it a vegetable? No. Do I care? No. And then head to the power plant and catch Lettuce the Pikachu. On Route 20, we catch Cauliflower the Tentacool and then go to the strength puzzle hellhole that is Seafoam Islands. Our only eligible encounter in the Seafoam Islands is Seal. Now, I know that we've caught some awful encounters, but Seal? Really? I know for a fact that we are never using Seal in this run, and so just for the memes, I catch Kale the Articuno and put it in its own box to never be touched again, just to make a point. After way too much time in these caves, we find Cinnabar Island. Our first order of business is reviving Corn the Aerodactyl, and then we have to go get the key to the Pokemon Mansion so that Blaine can actually perform his duty as a gym leader. Like, seriously, dude, could you maybe just, unlock the door instead of making every 10-year-old that wants to fight you go to the mansion that's crawling with thieves and covered up evidence of DNA splicing experimentation? And what about Chat? He's always ahead of us wherever we go in this game, so that means that Goober went through all the trouble of going through the mansion and opening up Cinnabar Gym just to lock it again when he got a badge. What an absolute bum. But on the bright side, it's a new area, so at the very least, we get an encounter, and nope, it blew up. Coughing blew up. I put it to sleep, and it woke up, and it blew up. That's incredible. Okay, moving on to the gym. Shockingly, Blaine is no trouble to deal with whatsoever. With the amount of water types, and good water types at that are always thrown at you in this game, he's a complete and total joke. Especially so when you turn off impossible evolutions, and suddenly Turnip evolves at level 40 instead of via trade. We teach her Surf and spam the A button, and the badge is ours. After the most difficult endgame Kanto boss, we get solicited by Bill the Interspecies Transformation Revolutionizer to do a bunch of his chores on the Sevi Islands, which I completely forget about every time I play this game until I get to them. We meet this other nerd that knows Bill, and while he gets his machine up and running, Bill wants me to go to another island to deliver a rock to a casino owner, and that's exactly what we do. While talking to the casino owner, we learn 2 things. His daughter has gone missing, and his casino absolutely blows ass. There are literally 0 places for me to gamble at in this casino. I mean, what's even the point of going to a casino if you can't gamble? What's even the point of owning one if you aren't going to let people gamble? Anyway, as the resident 10-year-old, it's our responsibility to find this dude's daughter, who's apparently on yet another island, so we take another ferry ride where we encounter a gang of bikers harassing a local. And it's at this point in the game that I have to ask 2 questions. 1, what is the point of owning a motorcycle on such a small island? And 2, more importantly, was the entire Sevi Islands arc really a necessary point in the main story? All of the bikers are also using exclusively poison types, so Hawking just looks in their general direction and they all scatter like mice. After a brief break to do the Pokedoku for the day and to convince myself to keep playing this video game, we happen upon a forest wherein we catch Leek the Drowsy and wherein we beat up this Hypno that literally kidnapped the casino owner's child. Do with that information what you will. We then go back to the saddest excuse for a casino since my basement and trade rocks with the owner before heading back to Bill, his friend, and the big giant island powering machine where literally nothing else happens, and then we take the ferry back to Cinnabar. Seriously, did we really need the Sevi Islands to be in the main story, you guys? Now we're on to the real endgame, but before we do anything 8th Gym related, my brain finally turns back on and I remember that we forgot to do a wheel spin for beating Blaine, so we do that once we fly back to Viridian City and spin literally nothing. Incredible. Smash subscribe. After spinning the belated post-badge wheel, we take on the 8th Gym, and as a surprise to probably 0 people who have made it to this point in the video, it is laughably easy. Giovanni is debatably easier here in his final form than in his other 2 fights combined. We lead Turnip and once again just play cookie clicker with the A button until we exit the battle screen. Badge 8 acquired, and with that, we're in the final stretch. While making our way to Victory Road, I make the harrowing discovery that our final fight with chat before the Pokemon League is earlier than I expected. I figured it would be at the end of Victory Road, but it was actually before we even got to Victory Road in the first place, and so in addition to not having a good lead into his Pidgeot, Turnip wasn't fully healed and Carrot was underleveled. Despite this, it's still chat at the end of the day, and chat running with still unevolved Pokemon at that. We have a little bit of trouble with his Charizard, thanks to the weirdest AI play I've ever seen. Is using Flamethrower here 100%, so we just switch in Turnip, who takes like 0 damage, and it uses Slash. Why? I think bro heard me over comms. We're gonna hit a Hydro Pump here though, don't worry. Nice. But dust ourselves off and beat him nonetheless. Onto Victory Road, and it's pretty uneventful all things considered, which I'm starting to think could be the catchphrase for this entire video game. We battle a myriad of trainers, none of which really stand a chance against our team, and endure strength puzzles that make me want to gouge my eyes out, but we prevail and even catch Rutabaga the Marowak. With that, it's finally time for our last and greatest hurdle, the Elite Four Gauntlet. The troubling part about the Elite Four for any Pokemon game is not necessarily that the members themselves are difficult, but rather that you have to fight all 4 members plus the champion without being able to change your team in between. Meaning that the 6 members of your team that are lucky enough to be brought to the Elite Four have to be carefully chosen to be able to best 20 to 30 different Pokemon in combat depending on what game you're playing. And so I start team building. But before that, the astute observers among you may have noticed that I also forgot to do a wheel spin after defeating Giovanni. The moment I start up the stream on Elite Four Day, I do 3 spins as a punishment for forgetting, but every single spin yields a positive result, so I just ignore all of them. Okay, now to start team building. The level cap for the Elite Four is more or less up to interpretation, but most people that I've seen set it to the 4th Elite Four member's highest level Pokemon, so I do the same, which means that our level cap is level 60. Definitely giving us some wiggle room with team building. Immediately, Hawking is earning himself a slot on the team. Alakazam is just way too good to not take to the Elite Four, especially since he has a favorable matchup against 2 of the 4 members, Bruno and Agatha. He is completely indispensable. Lorelei is probably the trickiest Elite Four member to deal with, not necessarily because she's the strongest, because she's not, but because all of her Pokemon are just awkward to handle. She commands ice types, but all of her ice types except for Jinx are also water types, so bringing Carrot isn't the immediate win button that it could be. Furthermore, a lot of her Pokemon are bulky, so the strategy of having one team member that has an advantageous typing just sweeping, something that the aforementioned Hawking will definitely be exploiting, doesn't really work here. Fortunately, there is a Pokemon that we can pair with some support to make Lorelei much less of a threat. Lettuce. Despite her Pokemon being bulky, all of them still take quite a bit of damage from Lettuce's Thunderbolt, especially since we'll be evolving her into Raichu for this battle, and with her Pokemon weakened, we're free to switch to other team members to finish them off. So that's Lorelei, Bruno, and Agatha planned for with 2 Mons. Pretty good so far, but that leaves us with the 2 strongest opponents still to plan for, so we're not off the hook yet. We'll start with Lance. Lance essentially just falls to 1 good Ice type along with a little bit of support to take on Gyarados and Aerodactyl. Now, obviously we have Kale on our side, but I said we wouldn't be touching them, and I meant it. So Squash is our next best play. Squash has the disadvantage of being much slower than Kale, but it's bulkier to make up for it, and its Ice Beam still shreds our number one concern in this fight, Dragonite. So welcome to the team. Our last 3 team members will be more of a supporting cast, silver bullet Pokemon that defend against 1 or 2 Mons in our opponent's rosters. I was especially worried about Chat's Alakazam going into the Elite Four because I'd seen the raw destructive power that ours had at its disposal, and so it only seemed right to welcome Parsnip, the Alakazam assassin himself, onto the team. Along with walling Alakazam completely, Parsnip also provides a generally bulky member that's able to switch in and finish off weakened opponents, which we'll need especially for Lorelei and Chat. Turnip plays the same role of support, being a silver bullet against Lance's Aerodactyl and against Chat's Charizard, along with just being a solid Pokemon in general. And that leaves us with 1 slot. We have essentially everything covered, so this slot should go to another generically powerful Pokemon for more support, just in case we have to steer. I don't think I really could have picked a better Pokemon for this position. Welcome to the team, Onion. Okay, admittedly, I knew when I threw Onion on this team that he was going to be contributing essentially nothing. Grass types are advantageous against a whopping 0 Elite Four members, unless you count Bruno's Onyxes, and don't help against any of Chat's Pokemon. That being said, I knew he was the perfect choice for our 6th team member. He was there from the run's inception at the lab all the way back in Pallet Town, and after being killed by an absolutely horrendous bout of bad RNG, he managed to make his way back to us. I figured it was only fair that even if he could only be a spectator, he was able to watch us complete the run instead of sitting in the box as if he were still dead. With all of our preparations made, let the battles begin. We open against Lorelei with Lettuce, who immediately fires off a Thunderbolt into Dugong, leaving it on a sliver of HP. Dugong retaliates with an Ice Beam, we dodge a Freeze, and after Lorelei burns a full restore, we once again leave Dugong with a sliver. This time, Lorelei doesn't bother with the full restore and lets Dugong go down. Cloyster gets switched in and immediately dies to a Thunderbolt, with Slowbro coming in afterward and meeting the same fate. Lapras comes in and eats a Thunderbolt, then goes for Body Slam over its other moves for some reason. My only explanation for this is that the Gen 3 AI loves using moves that drop your speed, and since Body Slam has a chance to paralyze, maybe the AI sees Body Slam as one of these moves? Jinx comes in, and it's at this point that the Psychic Slayer, Parsnip, comes in and one-taps it with Shadow Ball. 1 Elite Four member down, 0 deaths. Next up is Bruno. My plan with Bruno is to open with Hawking against his first Onix, set up a Calm Mind to boost Hawking's special attack, and then do what the late game taught me to do best. Mash A on a super effective move. Only there's a small oversight that I made. You remember how I said that the AI loves to spam speed-dropping moves? Well, I apparently neglected the fact that Bruno's first Onix has Rock Tomb, a move that drops the opponent's speed if it lands. So I set up a Calm Mind, but immediately get my speed dropped in retaliation. This is where I have to do a little bit of steering. Alakazam still one-shots every Mon on Bruno's team with no issue, but Bruno's Hitmonlee can now actually outspeed it, and Bruno's Hitmonlee? God, dude, what is up with me today? And Bruno's Hitmonlee knows Mega Kick, which is a normal type attack for some reason, and thus not resisted by Alakazam. Mega Kick is only 75% accurate, but it kills Alakazam if it hits, and so now I just have to take as many kills as I can with Zam until Hitmonlee comes in, and then I have to make a switch. Bruno's first Onix and his Hitmonchan get atomized by Hawking, and then Hitmonlee makes his grand appearance. This is where problem number 2 arises. All of the bulky switches that I have in the back are weak to fighting, with the exception of Kingdra, who I'm not confident can 1v1 after switching in on an attack anyway, except for the GOAT himself, Onion. And so Onion actually does see some play. After Onion takes a couple of Mega Kicks like an absolute champ, we set up a Leech Seed and stall out the Hitmonlee. The second Onix comes in, and now I have to switch Hawking back in if I have any hopes of beating Bruno's ace, Machamp. Hawking is dead to Onyx's Earthquake if it scores a critical hit, but it's a necessary risk, so we take it. Fortunately, we aren't punished for our earlier mistake, and Hawking is free to take out the rest of Bruno's team. Didn't go according to plan, but a win is a win, and it got Onion some time to shine, so you know what? I'm cool with it. Agatha is unremarkable, yet another spam A simulator with Hawking, who outspeeds and one-shots everything with Psychic, even without prior setup. Pretty anticlimactic compared to the last fight, which is why I'm only giving her about 12 seconds of screen time. Lance is up next. Fortunately, he leads Gyarados, so we don't have to worry about switching Lettuce in to kill it, since we can just lead with Lettuce and vaporize him with a Thunderbolt. Lance's first Dragonair comes in, and we set up a Thunder Wave so that Squash outspeeds it and only has to eat one Outrage on the switch. Squash Ice Beams for the kill, and Aerodactyl comes in for yet another weird quirk of the AI. I try to make a pivot so that Kingdra takes less damage. My thought process is, since Ancient Power does the most damage to Lapras, if I switch Turnip in, she'll have to eat an Ancient Power on the switch and then another since she is slower before actually being able to kill Aerodactyl with Hydro Pump. And yes, Hydro Pump is optimal even though it's inaccurate because Surf doesn't actually kill. But if I switch in Parsnip, he'll eat an Ancient Power, then Aerodactyl will see that Hyper Beam does the most damage and I can switch Turnip into that. Meaning not only that Turnip gets a free turn while Aerodactyl recharges, but there's less of a chance for Aerodactyl to get an Omni Boost, which is catastrophic for us. Let's see how well that play worked out for me. So we're gonna switch into Parsnip here. If this Omni boosts, this is really bad. Okay, now it sees Hyper Beam is doing the most damage, so I'm pretty sure it always goes for Hyper Beam. So we're gonna switch Turnip in on the Hyper Beam? No, it goes Ancient Power again. That's so weird. We can take 2 of those though, so it should be fine. Let's just Hydro Pump. Wing Attack action, that's fine. We don't miss the Hydro Pump, this always kills. I have absolutely no idea why this happened. My guess is the AI will only use Hyper Beam on a kill or something since it has to recharge afterward. I don't know. The AI continues to elude me with its weird plays. The second Dragonair comes out and I hit it with a smoke screen since I know it's going to be T-Waving Kingdra. Unfortunately, the T-Wave hits, so I immediately have to switch out into Squash. I expect Dragonair to lock itself into Outrage, but it uses Safeguard, so on the next turn it outspeeds us and uses T-Wave again. This has potential to go sideways very fast. Squash retaliates with Ice Beam, and the big man himself comes in. Oh, and it doesn't even go for Outrage for some reason. Okay, that's one full para. We can take another Wing Attack. We cannot take another after this. Okay. Whew. 2 full paras there? I think we might have lost. I don't think we would have lost, but we would have definitely had to have sacked Lapras. 4 down. 1 to go. It all comes down to this, the final fight. Everything that we've fought for in this run so far is all put on the line, right here, right now. Me versus chat. And I think it's only fair that I let you guys experience the battle as if you were a part of chat, watching it live. Pidgeot and then we steer. Hey, Focus! I was looking forward to seeing you, Focus. My rival should be strong to keep me sharp. While working on my Pokedex, I looked all over for Pokemon. Not only that, I assembled teams that would beat any Pokemon type. And now, I'm the Pokemon League champion. Focus, you know what that means? I'll tell you. I am the most powerful trainer in the world. Chad, I gotta bring you down a peg, man. I'm sorry. That's me. That's me you're talking about. I haven't lost to you once this entire run, and I don't see any reason for that to be any different for this fight. Lock it in. Final battle. We're winning. We're winning this. There's literally no way we don't. Champion chat would like to battle. Yo, this theme, it goes so hard, by the way. Champion music for Fire Red Leaf Green goes so crazy. Okay, T-Bolt. I'm pretty sure Oko's this. If it doesn't, that's completely fine. I'm assuming Rhydon, ooh, survives on a sliver but gets parried. Can we get full para? That would be hilarious. Sand Attack. You're really going to do that to me? Really? Now we could actually... Now this Pidgeot is somewhat of a threat because I have inaccurate T-Bolts. High roll. High roll. That was low roll. High roll me now. Come on. Oh, I was actually right. Bro, I was literally just... I was bluffing there. I didn't think that was low roll. Get trolled. Okay, Rhydon comes in. That's what I figured. Chat, should we give Onion another chance? Let's give Onion another chance to shine. Why not? Onion resurrected from the dead. Eats an EQ like nothing. Actually, this is probably going to hurt quite a bit. I didn't really think that through. But I think we're faster, right? Yeah. Solid Rock might actually save this from being KO'd, but it is quad effective, so who knows? Nope. See ya. Does this even have Solid Rock? I don't even know if Solid Rock is a thing, Gen 3. Yeah, Rhydon is kind of free, no? Zam comes in here. We have beaten every Zam in this game. Zam is so scary, it's not even funny. We have beaten every Zam in this game with Parsnip, low difficulty. Eat another Psychic? Like it's a hot dog, man. Parsnip is no stranger to eating. Retaliate with a Shadow Ball. This 100% Okos. Absolutely huge. That is one behemoth out of the way. Executor coming in here is really good. Huge. This is just another free kill. Giga Drains us. We're -1 Spadef, but we're such a high Spadef that this is still not going to kill us. Crit might have killed there, though. I believe Shadow Ball one-taps this as well. If it doesn't, we can just sack... Oh, not even close. We got the defense drop, though. Is this worth risking? Kinda. It's not like we can really switch anything in on this. Let's just go for it. Egg Bomb? You can tank that all day, Lax. Lax the GOAT! We got the defense drop too, so this absolutely one-taps. Dude, we're about to do Deathless E4 Champion. I guess it's not Deathless because we lost. Like, the E4 run is Deathless, but the run itself is not. Actually, no. We should probably play it smart and sack Lax here for free Raichu switch. But chat, how crazy would it be if I just switched in Raichu here for the lols? Does this Gyarados have EQ? This Gyarados doesn't have EQ. This is random move, though. So this could also just be Dragon Rage and we take a flat 40, which would be kind of insane. For the lols. For the lols. Deathless E4 run. For the lols. We're hard switching Raichu here. Bite. I think that's the least damage that we could have taken on Switch. That is incredible. Now we might actually eat Fire Blast. But I don't think we ever stay in to find out. I think Kingdra is just always the play. Quick Claw Kingdra, baby. Let's see it. Let's see the Fire Blast. Nice. This is going to do like 4 damage. Quad resisted that much. That's crazy. We could have probably just Hydro Pumped there for the kill, but that wouldn't be as suspenseful, would it? Is this Citrus Berry Zard? Oh, it's down to the wire, chat. It's Citrus Berry Zard. Oh, wait, no. Citrus Berry is 30 HP. We still kill with Citrus Berry recovery, for sure. That's Deathless E4 and Champ. That's pretty good, chat. That was so much easier than Emerald. I'm going to keep it a stack. That was so much easier than Emerald. No, that can't be. You beat me at my best. After all that work to become the league champ, my reign is over already? It's not fair. Believe it, buddy. And with that, in a single attempt, we overcame this run. In all honesty, despite all the whining I do about how Fire Red is a bad game, which I still stand behind, this was probably the most fun I've ever had playing a Pokemon game, in all honesty, so I guess I do have to give Fire Red some points after all. What's up, sports fans? Editor Focus Shock here with the post-game jump scare. First off, if you made it this far in the video, I want to say thank you so very much for watching. It means the world that you watched this entire video. This video took forever. If you're one of the people who watched this live, you know that this happened. This run took place like last month, probably a month and a half ago at this point, because I want to have this released on Christmas Day. So yeah, this this took me a while, which should go to show how bad I am at navigating editing software, because nothing editing wise that I did was like particularly that great. But yeah, it took me forever. So, but I'm really proud of this video. I've been wanting to make like a long form, high production value, you know, video like this for a while. So, hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you very much for making it to the end. Appreciate y'all. Future of the channel type stuff. If you're planning on subscribing to me, but you're like only here for the Pokemon style videos that you watched today, rest assured, I will be making more of those. But like I just said, they take me forever because I am a Neanderthal when it comes to editing. So if you're wanting to sub because you love the Nuzlocke style videos, just know, yes, I will be making more of them. No, they will not be frequent, at least for the time being. Maybe, you know, if I get more of a following and I'm able to invest some cash into an editor and stuff like that, you know, who knows what can happen. But for the time being, there will be more to come. It's not going to be for a second. But in the meantime, I stream daily except for Sundays over on Twitch and TikTok. But I'm going to push y'all more towards Twitch. You know, you can drop me a follow on both and I would appreciate it. But Twitch is the priority right now since TikTok is going to be getting the old Yeller treatment before too long, at least in the States. So yeah. But I do a variety of different games. Mostly recently it's just been playing multiplayer games with my friends, with my personal friends. And that's been super fun. But I do like Pokemon stuff on stream all the time as well. It's just a bunch of like, it's a variety of things. I'm a variety streamer in every sense of the word. But yeah, just wanted to do this little outro and be like, thank you guys for watching. And yeah, links down below if you want to catch, you know, more of my stuff. I would really appreciate it. Hope your holiday season, I just smacked the hell out of my mic. Hope your holiday season goes, you know, as well as it can. Hope that's fun and stress-free for everybody. And yeah, that's all I got for you, man. Again, thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Stay safe, sleep well, and have a good one.